Okay, very quick video. Just gonna have a quick chat about some differences between the earlier carb ZSB 125 and the later fuel injected bike. Okay, starting at the front. Still got the terrible Chinese front tyre, which you might want to think about getting rid of. Even more when you think about this front brake's excellent. I really like this front brake with the 3 pistons in. 1 piston runs from the rear brake, the 2 pistons run from the front brake. It's very powerful, really good, especially when you use both brakes at once and all 3 pistons kick in. I really like that. That's really good. The terrible front headlamp still remains with a 35-watt bulb. Definitely recommend doing something like that. And if you're doing a lot of daytime riding, then I would definitely go for a daytime running light. If you're doing a lot of nighttime riding, then maybe a better headlamp might be the way forward. I've covered that in another video. I'll put a link to that below. Right, okay, the horn's slightly bigger and a little bit louder. It's better. Still got the lovely clocks. We have an engine management light here now, which is quite useful. I've got a voltmeter fitted. That was like a voltmeter. Still got the great 3-gallon tank. Tank is different from the other one. We'll get to that when we get to the fuel injection system. I think it's a different spark plug. We've got fuel injection system. Talk about that. We still retained the kickstart, which is a lot of fun. I always like kickstarting a bike. It's a lot of laugh. Quite like doing that. The exhaust is different shape. The exhaust is different, and it's got this. I think this might be a cat in here for the E5 Euro 5s. The back brake assembly, of course, now is we've got a hydraulic rear brake, a link brake to the front, which is very nice. Excellent lane, as though the execution of it is a bit bodged up. You can see the frame actually looks a bit awkward. They've moved the foot peg hanger up to here. I don't like the way they've left the reservoir exposed to get really dirty and mucky. It's not great, but it's a very similar setup. I do like it's a nice touch. It's got a proper electric pressure rear light switch instead of the old pull contact type. That's a good advantage. That should be more reliable. The exhaust is extremely quiet, and I must really restrict the bike. I think if I was to keep the bike any sort of time, I'd be looking at swapping that exhaust out and trying to get something to release a bit more torque in the mid-range and a bit more power. As I said, hydraulic rear brake, twin piston. It's a little bit underwhelming actually. I'm not sure there's a huge advantage over the power of the drum. The drum brake seems to work well. Of course, it doesn't need to be adjusted like the drum. Pros and cons with drums and discs. I think the disc is probably a better setup, more reliable. Moving around to the rear, we've got LED indicators, complete waste of time. Not as good as the original indicators, and probably less reliable as well, so not a big fan of LEDs. In fact, the LED rear light on this bike was completely shot, like they all are. It's still the same horrible LED light, which fills with water and is completely destroyed. So if you've got the LED light, I recommend drilling a hole in the bottom to stop it filling with water. Or if you're like me, I've converted this one to a filament bulb. I might make a video if people want to see that. Leave a comment below if you want to see how I've done that conversion. Moving around, we've now got a square section swinging arm, which has got internal chain adjusters, which I don't think looks as nice. I think the round arm looks nicer with the external adjusters, with the chrome adjusters look nicer. This has got more parts, more cheap parts, more parts to lose, more parts to corrode. We've still got the terrible, well, we did have the terrible side stand cutout, which just cuts the ignition if it stands down. It's very confusing. I'm not convinced it's a lot of use, and will break as soon as you get any water and cause the bike to cut out and not start if it's been left out in the rain. So first thing you should do is ditch that off. I think I've done a video on that one as well. Let me go searching through. The engine's completely unchanged. It's an identical engine, though they've changed the controls a bit. The controls are not as nice. They seem to be a bit cruder made. For some reason, the gear lever is longer than the other one, which the other one was really long. This is a really long gear lever. It's not very comfortable, so I might have to change that. I don't like the way it fits either. It doesn't fit properly on the spline. It's obviously it's off a different bike or something. I don't know why they've changed that gear lever. And the other one was perfectly okay. The fuel injection system seems to work very well. I don't like the fuel arrangement here with the pipes. It means you've got to coil the pipes up, or you use the Chinese pipe, rubber pipes, which break after 12 months and leak petrol everywhere, which is absolutely horrendous. Should never do that. Because the pump's actually mounted the fuel injection system, this bit is under gravity. So there is like a little fuel tap here to turn off. It sort of defeats the problem, you know, the advantages of having a fuel injection system to me if you still end up with a fuel tap anyway. I just tend to leave it on, but I'm not convinced it's very safe. I think if I was to leave the bike for any period of time, I would definitely be turning the fuel off to have any leaks. This is the CO sensor, which is really exposed, so this needs to be covered up. I would definitely recommend covering that up, cleaning the contacts up and covering it in a bit of inner tube, stop muck getting in there. It doesn't stop the bike from running actually, the bike will run without the CO sensor on there, but of course the engine light comes on, so that's a bit of a problem. And I think that's it. It's pretty much the same bike. To sum up, the fuel injection, I can take it or leave it. I don't think that makes a big difference. It's nice not to have a choke. Tends to cause some problems. The braking is massively better, and that is a good improvement, especially on the front brake. I really like that. But I wish they would have put some decent tyres on. But I guess, yeah, you know, premium tyres are out of the scope for this now. I think they are a lot more expensive than the carb bikes. I'm finding a used carb bike now is probably thin on the ground, so this video is probably pretty academic really. Probably I wouldn't go for either bike. If you want the better brakes, then you definitely have to go for the later bike. But there's nothing wrong with the earlier bike with a single piston brake, especially if you can put premium brake shoes in. I could find no listing for premium brake shoes in this. EBC or Frodo don't make brake pads for this, so you've got to use the Chinese one, which isn't a big problem because the brakes are so powerful anyway. But I think if you had the earlier one, which you can get Frodo pads and EBC pads, I would swap both the rear brake shoes and the front pads for premium ones, and they really do bring the braking up on the older bike, so that would be a recommendation I would do. Apart from that, I think that's it really. Bike runs sweet as nuts, the clocks are lovely. I really like the taco.